And as everybody knows, we work from an agenda, and whatever information I may gather, which has been a challenge because I'm now up on the town's email now. Got kicked out over the weekend, but I think we got it worked out. We had problems at work too, that's why. And so the agenda I put together about a week before the meeting based on whatever information has come to it, to me or to us. So first order of business is the minutes from the November 27th meeting. Anybody have any thoughts or comments? We were all here. That was a rarity. That was good. I mean, the only thought that I had, and I don't even know if we need to mention it or not, but we did get some updated maps from Randolph last meeting also. That wasn't in the minutes. I don't know if that's important yet, but just add that. So, any other comments? Can I get a motion to accept the minutes?
Motion to accept the minutes.
Motion from Kevin. Can I have a second?
Second, right here.
Second by Dave. You made the sound. Drew, you just rattled your head. Okay, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, nobody opposed. That's good. We haven't been together since last year. So some updates. I just rolled the dice, and Dave, you come first. I don't know if you have anything from the town council for us or not.
Sure.
Good.
So I went back and looked at notes from December and January to make sure that anything I saw that thought was relevant that we all knew here that I'd share. So one thing that happened is Ed Pellsgrove was appointed the new zoning administrator. Bill Sheeman resigned as of 31 December 2023. So Ed is now the zoning administrator. Okay. GMB, that's our engineering firm, gave a presentation on the wastewater treatment plant preliminary engineering report for the enhanced nutrient removal ENR upgrade. So you might have heard some talk about that throughout town over the last, I don't know, 6 months or a year that we've been talking about. The ENR is the new requirement that we're working towards for our wastewater treatment. GMB is doing a whole study and everything for us, and there's a huge expense to that, but with that expense, there's a lot of grants that the town is working towards that will help us pay for this. One of the things that I have been working with Randolph and Price, as well as Gary and Wayne, is the capacity discharge numbers. So the numbers that we discharge from our plant. So we're looking ahead at the new ENR. What's our discharge going to be? And we have to come up with a number of gallons that we are going to be discharging. So that number, we have to take into consideration all the possible growth within town. We have to look at all the properties within our growth area boundary. And the reason that we have to really narrow that down and get that right is because funding, grant funding, is tied to that number. So if we come in and say, 250,000 gallons, so we could bring anybody on our system and we'll have huge amounts left over, well, then our grant money goes down to like nothing because the state has so much capacity, and so whatever capacity that we don't use, the state kind of buys and goes to other jurisdictions. So we have to nail that number. If we come in too low and we had some development or something that needs to come into town, we may not have capacity then to allow that growth. So we've had some meetings in here with Price and Randolph, and we're trying to really wrap our heads around what that number is so that we can do that. So a lot of that going on. The town made a contract award for the Blue Ridge pump station upgrade, so we're upgrading that pump station with new pumps and things like that. So we did make that award. Atlee Ridge is on the horizon as well.
Which one did you say? Which pump station?
Blue Ridge.
Blue Ridge, right.
And this is in the very preliminary steps. The fire department approached the town with a thought and a request to take a look into maybe using the old town hall, 211 High Street next to us over here, using that building for living quarters for volunteer firefighters, so that the fire company, obviously, just like lots of folks, are having a hard time getting volunteers, and with no young volunteers in town, you know, their ability to answer calls, you know, becomes very hard. And some of the concern they have is that young firefighters cannot afford to buy houses in our town. And so that seems to be one of the reasons maybe they're having a tough time with getting volunteers. So they provided a presentation to the town council to see if we were interested in starting discussions on possibly using that building, turning it into kind of 2 apartments, maybe 2 double apartments, so that you'd have a total of 4 firefighters. And of course, there would be stipulations on the people that lived there, that they would have to be active participants in the fire department, things like that. So the town council listened to that presentation. We kind of gave it a nod that we would be interested in starting discussions. So the fire company was still taking that back to their membership at large to talk about it. And then if both sides are in agreement to move forward looking at it, we will have like a working group that will start preliminary discussions to see the feasibility and what it really takes. You know, the fire company, of course, is be looking for some grant funding, and you know, the grant funding needs to be in the next couple months. So there is a little bit of a urgency if we want to move forward with something like the old.
Yeah.
The old town hall.
Any
yes.
grants they would get would be to do renovations in there?
Yes,
to make
renovations, improvements. You know, the initial look at the building is there's no major like roof or things like that the building needs to have. But obviously to turn it into apartments, you know, plumbing and electric would have to, you know, really take a look at it to bring it up to
Parking.
Parking, certainly, we had a whole ton of questions. We did not get into them because we were just really seeing if we're willing to talk about it. But yes, absolutely, parking and who owns the building, you know, where does the rent go? How do we take care of insurances and liabilities? And so there's a whole laundry list of questions from both sides that we'll need to work through. And yeah, parking was certainly on the list as well. For that. And last thing I wrote down is that the town is in the middle of our budget cycle. So Gary's been doing yeoman's work of putting the budget together. I think he said it's his 6th year. He's really getting good at it. It's not anywhere near as painful as it used to be. However, the numbers that we see in there can tend to be a little painful, but we're working through that and probably have a finalized budget by early May, I would think, is what we're scheduled for. And they were I thought the highlights that I wanted to share.
Cool, good. Drew?
We nailed down the flows, because didn't Price wasn't there quite a discrepancy with the sewerage and?
So
I remember one.
So what was in some documentation that the town provided the county way back in the day, probably when Frank Schaefer was our town manager, was this 250,000 gallon of capacity. Right now, we're permitted at 115,000 gallons from ours, and I think our daily is somewhere around 90. I think around 90,000. And you might be permitted for 115. You're only allowed to hit 80% of that. Okay, so 90, we're starting to bump up against where we're allowed to be. 250 is huge, right? It's more than double what we're permitted. And when we started doing a preliminary look at our growth area boundary and all our properties, there's probably no way that 250 is a feasible number. And we would not want to use that number because, as I said, our grant would be down to like nothing. And we're talking like a $13 or $14 million project. So grant funding is huge on this. So we have to have the right number.
How would you, like the Springdale prep, they want to do like a dormitory to house people. Say they come up with 24 people, how, does that figure in what the number that we have to?
Yeah, so all the properties and all the zoning has numbers associated with that. And so as we started to go through the map, we saw some areas that maybe probably weren't in the right zoning. So, and that's what Randolph and Price went back to the county and we're looking at stuff. I think they brought me some information, hopefully tonight, that I'll be getting together with Gary to go over to help us hone that down. Individual houses have a certain amount that you get, but properties outside of the growth area boundary businesses have a bigger number, and it starts to all add up, but you have to really take a close look at each property.
So these grants, awards would be to expand the plant or to?
It's not an expansion. There will be, the footprint, I think, of the plant grows because of the technology involved in the ENR process. But it's a whole new process for handling the waste. So it's called ENR, Enhanced Nutrient Reduction.
But that new way, will that expand the capacity, increase the capacity?
A little bit, yes.
A little.
Yes, so there is some capacity growth because you move to ENR, yes, absolutely. Mhm. Yeah. More than I ever wanted to learn about ENR and all that, but we're learning. Any other questions about anything else?
Cool.
Okay.
The next item on here, and I sent some information out, it was probably about a month ago, that there was a letter that came in from it was January 31st, from Springdale. And they are moving down a path. And but it's a couple projects. One is new water line through their Main Street campus, and then also renovations of Windsor Hall. So they wanted comments like right away because they were bumping up against whatever they perceived were some kind of deadlines without they had not reached out to Gary in the town. And, I got a letter, and I don't know why, but I get irritated when my name's spelled wrong, Yeah, so.
It's easy enough to find out how to spell.
Gary was kinder than I would have been in responding to Springdale since they had not come to us. But he did put together a pretty lengthy, I responded so, I could somewhat meet their deadline, but, I had a series of questions, did not have a chance to bring it to the planning commission. They wanted, comments, thoughts right away. So I think Gary did a really good job of laying out a couple of pages, I think 3 pages of questions, and essentially saying, hold it, you gotta come to us, tell us what you think. And that begins with them coming to us and giving us an idea of what it is they want to talk about. And certainly, Gary would be a part of that. But, they haven't fleshed anything out for us, but they certainly have been in contact with the county. So I thought that I would, since I spoke for the rest of the commission, I thought that I would pass along to you what, information I had gotten. And I don't know if anybody, especially you, Glenn, if you had a chance to look at this and if there was anything in particular that may have jumped out to you, you felt like we needed to
I
find.
just knew that it was coming up. That's why I brought up that.
Yeah, exactly. And and we still possibly have hovering is it Hoffs that are over here that about 6-8 months ago last summer, they talked to us about wanting to be annexed into the town. So again, that's a capacity issue. And I think the school is minimal compared to a new development, but I don't know because obviously we've been to school before and there were restrooms. And I know in their chart, they're showing, I really don't know how you measure the capacity on here, but they're not showing a significant growth. They're just doing a shifting around in how they're going to use the water. But the main point is that they're going to start to increase their number of students. And that's always been a question as to what that is. And again, they have not come to us since the previous president, administrator, Johnny, and he came to us several times. So I want to say maybe 5 years it's been since somebody's come and talked with us. Yeah.
So one of the things that, as you see in the letter, and Gary hit me up with the letter the day before he sent it to me and to Mark and CC'd me on it. So it was very fresh, and it was a very open wound at the time for Gary. And he did restrain himself and talk very well for the town. But one of the things they're talking about dorms up there, so they're running water so that they can put sprinkler systems to meet code. And so there's lots of things that happen when a business or a school needs to put in sprinkler heads. So there has to be tests run on the capacity of the water flow, and then the town gets involved because they're running a bigger pipe to be able to provide enough water flow. Sorry to have my back
No,
to you.
I'm
Enough water flow to if those sprinkler heads went off. But then the town also charges a surcharge for businesses that have sprinkler heads, because you can imagine if one of those blew, right, all the water is going to be rushing over there, and the town then has to start really jumping on and adjusting the water, the pumping and everything to make sure that we can keep those pipes running. A couple of businesses out 31 have sprinkler, systems in there as well. And so, it's a whole nother water situation that the town has to be prepared for. So there is a lot of flow tests and everything else that go along with that Wayne's, not pretend that I know any of this, I'm only listening to what Wayne's been handling and telling us.
But again, as Gary didn't know anything until that letter came in, I'm assuming same with Wayne.
No, and it was interesting when Gary received first information from them, they wanted Gary to talk to their contractor and their contractor sub who's doing the digging, and Gary was like, well, that's not the way it
We got a piece
works.
of paper for you to sign here, we'll be by.
Yes, not the way it works. And,
He did not respond terribly well to that approach.
but I think we're lining it up now and
Working through
moving it forward to where we can work together.
I don't think anybody would respond well to that approach.
It was injudicious.
Have they come back with anything yet from the?
They came back with some letters
Yeah,
that you saw, and
But it's just still all paper still. It's nobody's
yes,
done it.
I am assuming that they're going to schedule something that someone from the school comes and will approach us and tell us what's going on so that we can start to get, in lockstep with what they want to do and work with them.
Cool. Oh, and totally unrelated to this, but I just realized when I looked on here. And I'm sure Dana will see this also, but in the newsletter, it's got that we meet at 7:30 monthly. I don't know where that came from.
It's been a while.
My heart started bouncing because I no longer want to do that at 7:30 at night. So it's still, we meet at 6 o'clock.
No, we started at 7:30 because you worked out of town.
No, we were actually doing it at 7.
We used to be 7, and then I think when you were made the chair, we moved to 7:30.
Was it really that late? Wow.
I do think it was really that late because I hated it.
Why'd you guys put up with that?
Well, because you're such an affable sort.
That was back then.
I thought I heard something different.
That's what I heard too.
That's for the A.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for doing that, but we're not doing that anymore.
No, we don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah. The other item that was in there is actually something that you sent me and I passed along to everybody about the Consolidated Transportation Program. I don't know if you wanted to say anything about that or not.
That went to, did you already send that through, or?
I'm sorry?
That goes to, MDOT, correct? That's the
Yeah,
second
yeah.
letter? Okay.
And I had sent that around to everybody also. Okay. Did you have any updates that you want to give us?
Yeah, a few updates. So Price is currently receiving, applications for the spring water and sewer cycle for amendments. And the housing study is, starting up now. Tiffany is, taking lead on that project. at the county. And she's reached out to all the municipalities requesting dates to meet about some possible public outreach. So if you could forward some of those dates to me, I can send that to her. Some possible days where she can come in and meet with you guys.
Okay. Okay, was that in here? I know I read that somewhere, maybe it's just one of your emails that you were, yeah, I think it was just an email, shoot. I remember seeing the email and then you come, could you refresh my memory, what you need us, would you, is it us or? Cause I think that would be, I think, cause now I think about it, I think I might even said something to Gary because we had to work with Gary and Dana. Cause obviously we would use this space.
Right.
And normally things like that I think are facilitated through the town office.
I believe she wants to just use the space, yeah, but that's town council. I can double check on that, but.
Who does she need, who do you think she needs to meet with? The council or the planning commission?
No, we're open to the community
Yeah.
to talk about this.
The public outreach, so
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll have to double check, but I believe she was asking to use the space here to hold public outreach.
Okay, then she probably needs to contact the
Contact
Kim in the
I
town
guess-
office.
Gary, because he would be the one to then decide who, whether it's him or, but
Kim will answer the phone.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. So-
She'll know who to send him to, or to it
Scheduling
to.
this space and getting something out to the community would work through the town office.
And what was her name? I'll just make
Tiffany
it.
Fawcett.
Tiffany Fawcett, okay.
The economic development land study is complete. And the only other thing was the annual report, which I sent out, the worksheet and the confirmation letter. And that, we wanted to have that by March 15th, if possible.
So yeah, I've been struggling with this because you've been sending things to the New Windsor email. And
It's not that one anymore.
well, it is now, as of Friday
Oh,
and
okay.
half of today. So we're still limping through it. So I haven't finished going through all the emails and I've missed that one.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
yeah, that was,
So you need it by the 15th, and I mean, we won't meet again before that. But it's one of those, it's the annual plan, we do this every year.
yeah, the annual report, it's the same list of, information.
And you sent it, you sent the plan, and then we need a letter back saying that fits in with our comprehensive plan, and we, or any comments we would have, you would need back by the 15th.
No, I sent the worksheet to be filled out by the town so that I could insert that new data into the 2024.
Oh, okay, so the date itself, then Gary would have that if it's the data.
Oh, okay, should I? Okay, I can send that to you.
Yeah, I'm not online, so I can't send the emails. I will reach out to you tomorrow. I'll go look through all the emails from you and see if I see it in there and help. If it's something I can do, I'll do it. Otherwise, I got to talk with Gary later in the week.
Okay, yeah, the only thing I know for certain, the confirmation letter has to be signed by the planning commission.
Yeah.
But the worksheet,
In the past, didn't the county just give you a letter, they had it written up and then you had to sign it?
Yeah, it's a form.
Normally,
It's a form.
It's a form.
Letter, what we want it to look like. And then we'll meet here or I'll send it around. But this worksheet, that doesn't ring a bell having to do a worksheet, but yeah, I'll go look for it.
okay, cool. That's all I have. And, Dave, I have the map that we talked about.
Cool. All right. Emily Ann sent us something, and I did go looking for you. That's the first thing I did when I got there online. So I went and saw something from you in early December.
Yes.
And it's like, your comment was like for the first 3 chapters, and then you would maybe send something later in December. I didn't see anything, but,
No, I did not get
okay.
anything else. But yes, I did get the first 3 chapters. I sent both a red line and a clean version.
Okay. So, this will be, I guess, the logical time to start going through that. But I realized sitting here, actually, about an hour ago, that what we really ought to do is get Kim or Dana to help us so that we can sit here together and look at it up here. Wouldn't that be easier?
Or at least on a screen, yeah.
Yeah, because I know, my struggle is, I'm cheap, and I'm using my work computer, and that's how my email's coming in. I'm not like the rest of you rich guys that already have their own computer and have been, working on it. But,
Right.
so I'm kind of struggling with that, and I'm realizing I do have it up here on the screen to look at, but I know you don't. And I'm not seeing anybody else except Dave, who does have a town computer, and you've probably got your version of what Emily Ann sent around to us. So I'm thinking that we can start going through tonight with some general comments and start muddling through. But are you still hoofing it down to DC some? Because I see you out walking a lot during the day. Are you occasionally going to DC?
I do not go to DC anymore because my rotation ended, so I'm now
Okay.
fully remote.
Okay, so I'll reach out to Gary
Okay.
to find out who he would think would be appropriate to go work with us, and then you and I can come over here and meet with him. Because I think that'll be better for all of us if we're all kind of sitting there, looking up here on the screen, and you can walk us through. Because right now, I'm sitting here trying to do page numbers, and I thought I had it right, then I realized the numbering stopped on yours, and I'm working off the computer, so I'm sure I'm gonna
Yeah.
confuse
And I've
things.
got, and I've got a Mac and I've got a Chromebook, so I can bring either one of those in, whichever would work best for the technology
Sure.
here.
Well, the most important part, I think, if we're all looking at the same thing, as we're scrolling down it,
Right.
you're the one that has to keep track of, the page and stuff like that. But I know when I do stuff in Word, that doesn't necessarily mean what you get matches mine, and now when we try to go back and forth.
So what would probably be best is if I PDF it,
Sure.
and then that way it would be consistent across everything.
But I think especially if you're available, by
Absolutely.
the end of the week, I'll work it out.
Okay.
I'll say that, but I'll reach out, because I won't do it tomorrow, but Wednesday or Thursday, I'll reach out to Gary, find out who he wants me to work with so that we can sit on that side and use the screen. And maybe it's just going to Maryland IT, I don't know. I'll find out. So good. I had an assignment, and that was, and Gary and I have gone back and forth on the phone trying to schedule a time to get together. And he finally, when we got together, he said, he doesn't have stuff that can help us match in here. But what he asked for is, you give me a list of the different types of data that you got, and maybe I can help come up with something. So I've given him, partial list of what I thought the town might have available. And then I've also started going through the previous version to give that to him, because the data I came up with, and I think I mentioned this the last time we were together, that had, it's the zip code. We can get zip code data, but I can't find online data that is New Windsor data. And zip code isn't the same as New Windsor, because you start getting down towards Marsden, and you get 3,500 people for 21776. And nobody has ever said New Windsor is that size. And then when you start breaking down that 3,500, that's not who we are. Excuse me. Lost. So, he was surprised at how much we had in here, and I've been asked to come in and sit and chat with him. So we will do that, but we weren't able to do it before today. So, I think I'll also, because it's about 4 pages that I've got listed of different tables we have in here. I've got the table, the data, where it came from last time. if you've got any insights, I'll send it on to you also. Maybe you might have some insights of somebody that might be able to help us pull some of this together.
Okay.
But
I can get with Kathleen, she does our county census data, so I'll see if there's some more specific for the area.
oh yeah, I've gone out there several times. I had some other people to do some researching, and 21776 is what we can come up with, but that ain't us.
Right.
We're a part of that zip code.
Okay.
And maybe that's all we're gonna be able to come up with. That's a little scary. I know Price said that, you know, there's just not the same detailed analysis that we've gotten in the past with census.
Oh, yeah, not for the smaller areas.
I don't know how that affects funding somewhere down the line for things, but.
And he has a 21776.
All right,
A friend of mine lives at the intersection of Stone Chapel.
so what would you suggest, Miss Emily Ann?
Yeah, that area. And they moved the mailbox
So going
so that
through,
it's in Westminster. Because
The
otherwise,
changes
they
that
had a
I
New Windsor
made,
address on that side of the street and a Westminster address on this side.
I used to live on Power Sox. and it
One
was
of the
a New
things-
Windsor.
Yeah.
that I wanted to make sure that the group agreed with, and I'm sure that you do, but that I just arbitrarily chose, one change that I arbitrarily chose to make without your input was to update the Planning Act on the 12 visions.
Yeah, saw that. I didn't see that in my notes, but yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, but I think, anybody object to that? I think that's, because I know the first time I heard about 12 visions was back when we were having, the heavy from the state of Maryland came in here to smack our hands that, you know, when his staff person wasn't going to be able to assist us. So that was before you got.
So I was looking at that, Emily, and had made note of that. And I had written a note that says that maybe we should have words in there that say it went from 8 to 12. And I found that it looks like it was 1992 that it changed to 12. And then I had a little note that said, see chapter 2. And maybe there was something I found in chapter 2 that. And I reviewed this all before we were supposed to meet in January, so it's a month old in my head now. Yes, that's what I found.
and part of the reason that I wanted to make sure that everything was okay is because all of the language of the visions changed. So it wasn't just the number, but it was the visions themselves. And so I wanted to make sure that you were okay with my changing the language of all of that in addition to just the number.
5 of the old, that's.
Well, if 12 is the latest, then we should be at 12. And whatever the words are for those visions for 12, that's what we need. This is a new plan, that's what we need to have in there.
So it's, on my draft, it's 7 and 8, and then in chapter 2, I changed all the language. So that would be my draft, page 11 and 12.
Further than that. Yeah, 16 on mine. Oh, yeah, we did, no, we didn't have any. Oh, I see what you're saying. We did have more. Page 5, what we had originally.
Where are you here?
This was a page 5 of that book.
Page 5?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I think I was a male. I was one thing, and I know you were talking. So if there was a question that's lingering in the air, I'm not going to be able to answer it because it went in and went out. I don't even think it went in, so.
I just want to make sure that because the language, because it says that this plan is centered around the visions, that everybody is okay with how I summarized the visions, and that you still believe that this plan is centered around the visions as I summarized them.
Which is pretty much prudent because they will reject it if it isn't.
Yeah.
And this is kind of critical to the structure of this whole document. So, as you've been going through, have you been following these for us?
Yes,
Okay.
I have, but because
And they're
I want
certainly
to draw
different.
your attention to this major change that I made.
It's a linguistic change primarily, right? I mean, you didn't throw in your own
Right.
worldview on planning in there? No, I didn't think so.
Well, I copied this off the internet, the PDF that was available online from the state. So, yeah, they're not gonna,
Oh,
they're not gonna,
you have the older version?
Mine still shows 8 visions.
There have,
Yeah.
We all bars do,
there
yeah.
are now
As far as
12,
There are now 12.
Okay. all right.
so we have
I thought I
to
was
account
missing
for
some.
12.
yeah, but as far as, yeah, it's chapter 2, but it's just different pages.
Even at that, we hope that they like our
When we did this the last time.
difficult.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand. You're right, because if this was done in 2007 and it was changed in 92, so this was.
No, there haven't been 12 visions since 92, I'm
No.
sure that.
There was 8 in 92, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but in 92 it changed to 8, so there was 8
Changed
showing.
92 it changed date, okay, you had said the 12.
Yes, I finally caught up with my
I
notes.
think as we've been reviewing it, we've been keeping the 8 in mind,
Right,
and she's been,
and I have now updated it to the 12, which was changed in, let me confirm when that change was made. I think it was with the most recent administration.
But these are different.
They're substantially different, yes. 2009 is when it was updated to 12.
what we've reviewed and updated, have we strayed off the path much, that, as far as the visions?
I don't believe so based on my interpretation, but because it's all motherhood and apple pie.
Yeah, it's all plant speak with respect.
Oh, okay.
I mean, they come up with new concepts. It's like school, you know. They come up with new concepts and new ways to approach it and to visualize and all of this good stuff. But I don't think it's going to have, I mean, they certainly haven't come out with a vision that says we're going to put, like a women's prison on every block. It's going to be stuff that is still within essentially what you have. Now, what we may need to wind up doing, but we don't know this yet, is maybe separating out, from pick a number, chapter 7 to chapter 5, because the reviewer at MDP is gonna say, this particular should be in 5 and not 7. And they do a lot of that. And they want things captioned differently when they review it, because they don't just take it and put it in a file box, they will review it. So, I don't have all of the detail right here in front of me. And unlike my fellows here, I have real trouble reading on a screen, but I haven't printed it yet because it's so darn long.
And it doesn't say here, okay, yeah, 2009 is when this was last updated. It's from 8 to 12.
Our last plan was in 7, but we amended it in 10, but not for the visions, which were.
Now, we really only amended it to take that property out. And that would have been reviewed by the MDP too, and that was not called out as something that we had to address.
And I think your comment, Dave, was to have more fleshed out here than just the words or words.
Which I did in chapter 2.
Okay.
Yes, it's in chapter 2.
Oh, there we go. Okay, that's where I was looking. So, does anybody have the audacity to disagree with this direction? I think that was a leading question.
That was very leading.
Was it?
Yes, that was very leading. But leading questions are asked to get the desired result.
All right. Thank you. You have a list there, Dave.
I do,
Okay.
but when I'm having problems is there,
Yeah.
not cooperating with me. So Emily, when I reviewed the document, I made notes on the page, and then, and I can't pull it up here, so I'm talking to everyone. And then I had written, so there was a document that was 120 pages.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. And so that first comment that I made used to be on page 9, but now it was on 17 of 120.
Okay.
So that's the document I'm working off that I can't get to now because it's I got an older profile or something. So my next comment was on page 18 of 120, which was page 10.
That was the last numbered page of yours.
And I guess as I was reading it, and I can't find it now in here, but there was the CIP, it said CIP,
Okay.
but there was no acronym for the Capital Improvement Plan acronym. And then I had, maybe that I found it on page 24 of 120, so I didn't, and I can't see it, so I don't know what the heck I was talking about. I'm just
Two
reading my
different
comment.
references to CIP with two different meanings in the older one. I feel like we talked about that. And we changed one of them, but not the capital improvement. We changed the other one a little bit. I don't remember exactly. It was a long time
So what I'm
ago.
finding is I have an acronym list that says Community Investment Plan or Capital Improvement Plan.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay,
Which might be what the problem is.
okay.
Maybe we have to take.
Yeah, we might want to flip a coin there, but I think capital improvement plan is a more generally used. What was the other one?
Community
Investment?
Investment Plan.
Yes.
Yeah, we can play with that. We can come up with something else for that.
Yeah, my acronym list has the,
Mm-hmm,
Okay.
yeah.
Where is that acronym list? Because I was looking for that.
It is page 24 of one.
Oh, that's the one with the definition.
Yeah.
I know this will take, see, that's what happens when you're talking. Can you have a nice index. The next page, just have, I mean, this is fine, these definitions, this was fine. But have CIP, and then what CIP stands for, GAB, what GAB stands for, and all of those acronyms that we come along as we go along through this. But just have one page at the beginning,
Sure.
because I remember that discussion now about CIP.
And I think I created one and sent it to you separately.
Yes, well, I know I've seen one from you.
Yes.
I did not see it in here, but I cannot understand why this file, the same one you're referencing, Dave, is so tiny. You can't get it enlarged.
So Michelle has suggested capital improvement plan. Does the group agree with that suggestion? Okay, so we will get rid of community investment plan as CIP.
And maybe do some kind of global search on where it comes up, and that might make it easier to come up with an alternate for community investment plan. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
From the context of wherever it appears. And nothing is leaping to my mind. You don't want to say regional, because that's too large. Plus, it would be RIP, and that could be bad.
Only capital improvement.
That might go against our first vision of quality of
That
life.
might,
and
quality.
sustainability.
There's no vision about cemetery expansion.
Do you know, when I worked at the National Academies, I did a thing on combating corrosion, and I managed to, until external review, get away with combating and controlling corrosion on pipelines, CCCP.
3 CPTV. That's an old
And it wasn't
SCTV
until
routine.
external review that somebody caught that
Said-
I pulled off that acronym.
Yeah, that's probably not so good.
All right, I am back. I know where I am now. So on your page 18, Emily,
Yes.
Bring it.
the second paragraph starts out with the eighth vision, funding mechanisms have been addressed to achieve the vision, blah, blah, blah. Well, my comment that I wrote back then is the eighth vision is not funding mechanisms. There is not a funding vision in the 12.
Okay.
Now, 8 is economic development.
No, the old one was funding mechanism, the old Vision 8.
But there is none, none of the 12
Right.
have the word funding.
Yeah, that's probably
That's-
from the old
It is.
list, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not sure on page 18 of 20, the beginning of that second paragraph, what we should be saying there.
Yeah, that is.
Well, and we've also got CIP in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that. Well, I would think economic development would be the funding mechanism. Would that be interchangeable? I mean, we can make that decision. I think.
What if we just delete the entire first sentence and say allocating adequate funding for land acquisition and preservation, et cetera, et cetera? Actually, or what if we just delete the entire paragraph?
I was about to recommend.
So I'm looking at your, in chapter 2, where you have more verbiage for each vision. Economic development is talking about resource-based businesses that promote employment opportunities. So that's not the same thing. And I don't see any of them that would fit. So I would be pretty good with whacking it.
My comment on that one, from when we went through this was a BS section.
Then I guess we're all in agreement.
Paragraph is struck.
Extraneous, not BS, extraneous.
And I'm sure this was intentional since we're in that area, beginning of this, 17 of 120, but meeting the 12 visions. Throughout this, you've got the 2007 New Windsor Community Plan, you're gonna change that, right? And I think it's reasonable to call it to 2024.
Okay. Let me just make a note to myself.
Sure.
At the top, to do a global plan in place for 2017.
All right, so chapter 2 was all the visions and all our goals and all those things all listed out, and the acronym list was in there. And so I didn't have any comments particularly on chapter 2. My next comments, I moved to chapter 3.
Are Carroll County's goals still accurate? I couldn't find anything on the website.
Yes, I don't believe there were any amendments to the goals.
I had a note that Price was going to send us a list of the goals.
Okay, yeah, I did a search, but I couldn't find anything, so I just wanted to share.
In my notes, there was an update in 2019.
Yeah, to accommodate the freedom plan.
Oh, okay.
The goals were passed, but I'll double check maybe.
Okay.
You can put that good.
So I don't know if anybody else had comments on chapter 2.
I was just letting you go down yours. I've
Oh,
got-
okay.
yeah,
Well, we
yeah.
can pop to chapter 3 then. All right. On page 26 of 120.
That's the beginning of chapter 3.
Chapter 3, the second paragraph.
It's page 21.
Okay, so that, I think that's probably what Mark was just alluding to. I had second paragraph, 2023 update, make the 2024 update, so you just talked about that.
Okay, I'll make that 2024. Done.
Okay, and then on, let's see, progress, art. Something that talks about progress, achieving smart growth principles. Needs rewritten according to my notes. Mark has a list of the items to add.
Uh-oh.
Where is that? From, that was, you had a list on August 20,
Where are you now?
I don't know, I'm trying to find where that said. Something, progress, achieving smart growth principles. Should be on this 26 somewhere. I guess it's that second paragraph where it says additionally, several major initiatives have been undertaken that implement the plan and work to uphold smart growth principles. So completion of the High Street extension, which was done, improvements to the town water and sewer system, several new wells. So those three bullets that are in there, they need to be rewritten. And apparently, Mark, we had a list of items to add.
Yep, I've got a list running down here.
Okay, and it was something I had about August 22nd, that we had come up with this list.
Probably at a meeting, because this looks like the kind of scribble I would do at one of our meetings.
Yeah.
Like the, purchase the Dealman. The Serve Center being taken over by the, Springdale. Reserves has, been built out, Snyder Summit. The town park up on the corner. Frisbee golf. Oh, the cell tower. I've also got that on here. Music on the main. Redevelopment, up by the town hall.
Yeah, that need to change that.
Yeah. So,
So some of those need to be added in there, I believe.
so that would have been.
I had half-court b-ball skate park.
Yeah, skate,
You got the skateboard park and the half-court b-ball at Atlee Ridge.
Proposed.
there it is.
Oh, proposed, okay.
Probably, yeah. I mean, the skate park's there, but,
Yes.
Yeah.
So Mark, maybe you could shoot Emily those, a couple that you wanted to.
Yeah, let me give you a sample right for that, yeah, because I'll put some words to it. This is what I would have done when we're sitting here brainstorming, so I'll send something to you with some meat to it.
So then my last comment that I had on chapter 3 was pages 27 and 28. I thought they just needed to be rewritten because they're just, I haven't got a date.
And right in that same paragraph we were just reading about, with the additionals, we talk about the New Windsor State Bank, which is no longer the New Windsor State Bank. So we may want to change that to the ACNB.
ACNB.
Yeah, I think that stands for Atlantic City National Bank, because we bought them.
Oh, really?
No, Adams County.
Oh, Adams County National Bank.
It says the expansion of the main.
it says recent projects. I mean, that's
How long-
25 years ago.
Yeah, I don't really know that that's a
That's,
Just needs to go away.
real topical
Yeah.
reference.
Yeah. Yeah, it was talking about the
So
expansion.
let's just delete it then.
Oh,
Yeah.
And
that talks about- Yeah, that whole, that,
Somebody else will buy it.
Do deserve to call out instead of.
My
any
checks
of
that
this.
say New Windsor State
I
Bank.
don't know whether they've added the 911 center has been added to the library headquarters.
M&T was
And there's been
$2
more-
gold.
Itself,
Numbers the same.
isn't that kind of new, the idea that we have a walk-up, you order, and you walk up, whatever it's called for the library over here?
You'd like, if you want to order a book?
Yeah.
I think you can do that, yes.
Yeah, I know you can,
Yeah.
but isn't that a new service that came as a result of moving in there,
Probably, yes.
I don't know what the name is, I'll find out what it can be called, because I know somebody uses it all the time.
And really, the Office for County Emergency Management is also in
in that building.
the library headquarters building.
Right. County emergency management.
It has in here that when this building was turned into the scientific equipment development.
Mad scientist.
Yes, that needs to come out because we are now the town hall.
And we may be mad, but we're not scientists.
So Mark, we never did get a summary of the new legislation. That was something in my notes that Joe was supposed to write for us. So we don't have anything about any new legislation, new since 1997,
I can see if I can find
at
something.
the state level. You know, I don't know if we should just try to put something generic in there that we are working
Yeah, we comply with everything we're supposed to comply with.
right, instead of, you know, we, you know, complying with all the latest state, because of,
You know, and this may be just my opinion, and Randolph may tell me I'm crazy, but, new legislation that was 5 years ago, 3 years ago, we're complying with it. Is it really part of our plan? Or is it just sort of a commentary on ambient legislation? I mean, you know, I just don't really know how much detail those kinds of things, and we've talked about this throughout. You know, the county is doing this, or Sykesville is doing that, so what? This is our plan, and
so could we just, like I said, put a generic
Yeah,
in there
something
that we
broad.
keep abreast of the
Yes.
state legislation through our county representative, that flows down to New Windsor's Planning Commission, who make the appropriate changes and blah, 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 blah.
okay, I think that, personally, I think that would be adequate.
That's pretty standard.
Yeah.
Can you write that sentence or
Can't
two?
write that.
Can
Did you get something out of that?
Yeah.
Okay.
That sounded good.
Yada, yada.
Yeah, I was throwing a blah, blah, blah in there.
And you may even want to say, you know, county representatives work with the planning commission on a regular basis, blah, blah, blah.
Yada, yada, yada,
There you go.
to paraphrase Seinfeld. And then I did not get into chapter 4 because I didn't have the data to do that.
Is that the one that had so many graphs that we kind of skipped over, right?
Yep,
We were waiting to get from the county?
Chapter 4, I got a lot of stuff scribbled.
Yeah. But it's, I mean, so much of that is out of date. I have stuff scribbled too, and I don't know where, I mean, I didn't bring it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty thorough.
so I'm happy to take a pass at formatting it absent the charts and updating it without that, or maybe we can make a decision as to what we want to do without it, but,
Let's make a decision next month.
okay.
If there's anything,
Yeah, but you'll have a better idea by then if it's worthwhile
Yeah.
stressing over it.
but before we, it sounds like maybe we kind of might be wrapping up, but I still got some other comments. I was just kind of following Dave's, and then I realized we got into reviewing as we went on. So I'm going to make everybody go back a little bit. Couple of things. One, I think that when we did the maps, you know, we did have it looks like you kind of kept the same numbering for them, but, you know, I'm a number, I think we just sequence them. Keep the same order of them, just renumbered it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like, and just follow it that way. The acronym thing we talked about, what did I have in here of significance? I did the same thing, Dave, I had last month in my, I had it. Yeah, that's right, you got that right. Oh, all right, now I need to translate this to this page. It is right at the beginning of chapter 3, okay. Yeah, page 25, 120. And we might take this out of the zoning. We've got the zoning districts all kind of rolled together. And I think it'd be better to have them bulleted.
Okay.
And I had a note on here, and I'll do this one for you, defining a little bit, because I know we've got it in the code, what each of those means. What R1, R2, and light industrial. I know we did this years ago, when we did the planning, we kind of defined, so I'll send that to you.
Oh, yeah, I think that was an absolute error on my part to not get those bulleted, so I can fix that right now.
But I need to put a little bit more to that, but that's no problem. I see that.
You want to do like 1 unit to, you know, R1, 1 unit to acre or something like that?
Okay, kind of
No,
define.
nothing elaborate, but I think what we did when we went through the code, I just want to go back and look at that.
That's good.
Future. Oh, 3. I have, maybe this was me again too, with a list of future items under 22 and 23 in our book. Discussion of new development issues. We talked about the streetscape, which is kind of, I think we should still, I don't know what the current term is for that. But I think we should have that in here, because that even, you know, that's not gonna be completed by the time we're finished this, and still there's some pieces that are lingering out there. The Lagoon Park was something that there had been talk about. Development of the Dealman Inn.
Well, yeah, that should be in there as well. Neil is still actively looking for grants to continue the next phase of that building, so, yes.
And that explains my notes here. Okay. Oh, what was it called? And it's not future, it's already happened, but when we redid College Avenue. That wasn't,
Avenue project.
Yeah.
That was
I
the,
don't think it had a name. Blue Ridge / College is what we always called it.
Emily Street.
Yeah,
Emily's project.
Sounds like a band, you know, kind
Do you know when I
and
look
yeah.
my house up on Google Maps, it actually shows the road all bricked up
Oh, yeah. They hadn't updated the,
from the
Aaron?
The aerials.
street view?
they did such a good job there with that wall, and that really was nice, and,
That was a lot of teamwork
yeah.
that got that done.
And I know Neil is
Hair pulling
hoping
with
that
that
can
one.
happen when down by you.
He's working hard for that,
Yeah.
and things are looking positive towards
Really?
things right now. They're looking positive.
Stop being conscientious and start coming to the town council meetings. It just works to get to the point. Okay. All right. I got caught up to 3. Anybody else have notes they want to go through or? So, this homework, I know I got 2 things on here, and then I'll go scratch reaching out to Joe about new legislation. I like that idea of just, yeah.
I do too.
Yeah, you got my email address and phone number, so you can get in touch with me
Oh, yeah,
or something with me.
Yes,
Okay.
yep. I know where you live.
Yes, you do know where it is.
Yeah. Just told them to be nice. Yeah, this is such a nightmare about not having some stats. You used to be able to go and, you know, it might be outdated, but you'd be able to find them, and now it's just not out there.
Your options may be limited. If you can't find them, you can't include them, and you just, that's it.
Probably can leave the 1990.
We could, yeah, we could go back to like, you know, when the Dealman was occupied by soldiers and things like that. Right up
Well, I
about,
guess if we cannot find any data that make chapter 4 worth having, that I'm assuming that we could put the demographics chapter in here and we could provide a link to the information that is available for census data. You know, the most up-to-date census data is available at,
blank.
and that's the best we can do. Now, we can't make it up, and we
But I don't
don't wanna put old stuff in here.
I don't think we should be silent on it either.
Well, no, we should address it,
I like
but provide a pointer to where it can be found, that if anybody was really interested in the latest New Windsor data, census data, they could go there and.
Google it.
tell them they can Google it.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say.
Don't ask for it on
We're gonna beat our
AI.
heads and never,
Be as comprehensive of what this is, you know.
That's a good point.
All right. Gary will like that point.
well, I mean, there's nothing Gary can do about it either. I mean, there's just, everybody's, you know, he can't do
He's got
anything.
it in a desk drawer back there, and he just won't show us.
I know he doesn't. And I know that it,
If he had it, he'd give it to us and get us off his back.
so this mostly falls on you to get something to us so that we can look at it.
Yes.
What does your schedule allow where you would be able?
So I'll skipping chapter 4 for
Right,
now.
skip 4.
I can, this weekend, work on, let's say 5 through 8.
It'd be nice.
That would be awesome, yeah. Cool.
And then based on, I'll also update chapter 3 to sort of take care of the yada yada stuff.
Yeah.
And then whatever other language you get me for the more current examples.
Okay, if you work on 5A first, And then
Yeah.
probably this weekend, I'm sure I'll be able to get
Yeah.
pulling stuff here to send to you for that. And then I will, when I chat with Gary, find out what's the protocol to get help so that we can all figure it together and look up there on the screen.
Yeah, that would be awesome. If we could plug in.
Or we could go on the phone. But Dave, you wanna look on your phone?
I'm sorry,
Pull it up on your phone and we can all just look at this on your phone.
on my flip phone?
Yeah, on your flip phone, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
okay.
no, that's just
Yeah,
like
you
cell
can do
phone.
that.
Yeah.
Put it before I
You
do
can
it.
get it, it's right next to my buggy whip.
All right,
I don't, frankly, I started to look at it and
I know I asked this question in the fall and then it didn't work out with Ed.
so,
I should say by the time I got to Ed, he was already committed.
I just don't process it
I've not
well.
had a chance to take the tour, you knew this was coming.
Yeah.
Kevin, have you been on it?
Oh, yeah.
You have, okay.
The real question is, is the town gonna let me charge them 20 cents a page to print
Emily,
it?
you've been on it?
They may very well.
Tour of the town
Yes.
facilities?
We'll print you a copy.
Oh, yeah, cool,
It's out
okay.
the back of my truck. We drove her around.
Yeah, no, they
Randolph
will.
hasn't been on it.
That's one of, when I saw how much it was, I can't.
All right,
But I could get together with Ed and
oh, yeah,
just,
right, yeah,
so I
I
could
just.
see what's the red
Well, that's, you see,
That's-
yeah, at my old office, my old office printer, I never had a color printer. So people would send me stuff and they'd say, I've highlighted it in yellow. Um, But I don't think I'm.
Yeah, we say something like, we'll go, like from 8 to 10.
No, I had to go back and look at it, but it was like,
I teach
December.
a class on Saturday from 9 to 11,
Okay, okay.
but sometimes I have breaks, so if it's a,
We can just offer it to him if he's
Yeah.
able to make it.
Yeah, well, I'll see, because it's doing that out of kind of goodness of his heart, because he'll do this every so often. And now he's got all those heavy responsibilities as the zoning commissioner. Yeah. Yeah, it's actually, have you ever been on a tour of the facilities of any of the towns?
no.
It is really kind of surprising, as small as we are. A lot of stuff.
I was stunned.
Yeah, it was, yeah. So that's more important, that you have a chance to do that, even though we would love to have you come to Music on the Main. But I'll start pushing you for that. But I'll give, and then also, I'm sorry, Dave, I'll put you down too. And I haven't done it in a couple of years, so I'll tell them we got 3 people. A carnival,
21st to the 25th of May.
say that again,
The
20,
21st, it'll be Tuesday through Saturday,
okay.
and Wednesday is parade night.
Well, okay, Wednesday's parade night, good.
And I think from what Steve was saying, I think they're going up Main Street, the old route, up Main, around 7-Eleven and down to Church.
Cool.
So,
Good. Town cleanup day, that's coming, but I think that's May, isn't it, or is it
No,
March?
so I just talked with guys today. We decided that it will be the fourth, as it typically is, the fourth Saturday in April, so it'll be 27 April. That'll also be the bulk trash day as well.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right, because one year it wasn't the same day, yeah.
bulk trash day, too. Bulk, yeah.
And I bring up at the town cleanup, you know, we're already quasi volunteers being on the planning commission. But that is a chance, and usually the mayor, well, not usually, the mayor will certainly be out there, town manager, and most of the town council.
And their spouses.
And their spouses. And occasionally we'll get some others from the community, but it's actually kind of a fun day. I kind of like doing it, because it's a nice time of year, you get out and
It's only a couple hours,
it's only for a couple hours in the morning, 2-3 hours, like.
What date is it?
27 of April.
27.
April 27th?
Yep, and we do fun things like mulching. I bring my chair and, you know, I'll sit down and weed.
They plant
Well, I thought you
flowers,
sat
they
down
plant
and
flowers
managed
and,
mulching. Yep, more drops over there.
you missed the spot.
yeah, we do get dirty.
Yeah, that's right. That's it, that's what you call it. Get dirty with the mayor. Okay. Anybody have any other announcements, thoughts, prayers? Okay, I've got a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Drew makes a motion, second
Second.
by Glenn.
Yep.
All those in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 6-0.
First week in February for a 1-year checkup. I only have